All right, here I am at it again, and I figured for this episode of Command Line Friendly, I would wrap up on a few things I didn't touch on in my last episode where we did a complete Arch Linux install. Well, for the most part, I know I covered a lot of the post-installation procedures right off the bat in one episode. But there's a few additional things that you might consider doing upon having a fresh installation of Arch Linux, as you will see here. Now, obviously, the desktop looks a little bit different from the last time when I installed it. I had a basic XFCE desktop, and all I basically did was I just changed the wallpaper, and I selected an Arch wallpaper. I replaced the menu with a whisker menu. Okay, I downloaded an icon, and then I also named this icon to .face and put it in the home directory, and then that changed my user icon into the Arch Linux logo that I have here as well. I installed Midori for a lightweight web browser. And then I installed a graphics driver, or in my case, the guest editions for VirtualBox, so that I could display the desktop in my native 1080p screen resolution. And so in your case, you might have an NVIDIA card that you need to install your driver for, or you may have ATI. You may have Bluetooth on your computer, and you may want to connect up your Bluetooth headsets and that sort of thing. You would need to go through the Arch Wiki and get the documentation on installing all of those different things. Because this is a virtualized environment that I'm going to be doing demonstrations in during the Command Line Friendly series, I figured, well, why don't I finish this part of it? I don't really need a sound card, so I don't need to set up sound or anything like that. But maybe I might want to beef up my terminal a little bit, make that look a little bit nicer. And maybe I also want to add package support to this as well, and maybe a few other little bits and bobs to make this a little bit more Spatry friendly. So why don't we go ahead and do that? And we are going to be using the command line through a good portion of this. So let's go ahead and close this here. Another change I did was I added a terminal to XFCE. If I right-click on that icon, and basically I just dragged out the terminal here and put it up here, okay? And then by editing this, okay, I changed that command to XFCE4 terminal -- drop down. And so when I click on this, now you'll see we have a nice little terminal here. Let me go ahead and empty this out. All right, and why don't I make this so that it's better for all of you to see? So what I'm going to do here is go into some preferences here, and I'm going to increase this width to 95%. And I'm going to increase this height to 95% as well. Why don't we do something fun with this? Maybe change the opacity a little bit here and do some special effects and eye candy. You know, that's always fun. Okay, and also so that you guys can read this, why don't I change the appearance of this? Let's pick monospace bold, so that you can read that a little bit better, and maybe make this text a little bit larger. I think that's probably large enough. Yes, you should be able to read that just fine. I can read it just fine with my super duper industrial strength 2.0 magnification Dollar Tree reading glasses. If I can read it, at 1080p, you guys should be able to read it well too. Okay, so we've got our base terminal to start with. Now, let's go ahead and start adding some additional bits and bobs to this to make our installation a little bit more user-friendly for us. Let's go into a web browser here, okay? And I guess the first fun thing I want to do with my terminal is have some information being displayed about the operating system that I'm using. And this program was suggested to me by Silent Robot, the developer of Salient OS. Greets to you, mate. He suggested that I have a look at this when running Arch Linux. This is a utility that's similar to ScreenFetch or NeoFetch, but this one's built for Arch Linux only. Okay, and what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to download this snapshot. Okay, that transfer has completed, and if we open a file manager, okay, and we look in our downloads, here it is. Bad me! We're supposed to be using the command line. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's open up let's minimize all this stuff. Let's open up the command line here, and let's change directory to downloads. Okay, and then let's list in long form. Okay, and you'll see that we have alc.tar.gazette. Okay, now we need to extract this file in order to be able to use it. Okay, and to do that, we are going to run tar-xvf. And if you want to know what these are, remember the man command. You can run man against tar and it'll tell you. Okay, and then I'm not going to type in that whole string of text. I'm just going to type in star.gulfz. Okay, so, and that, because it's the only file that's in there, so it has now extracted that file. And then when we go ls-tech-l, all right, you're going to see that we have a directory in here called allc. So let's change directory to allc. Okay, and now we can ls. You're going to see we have a file called package build in here. Why don't we take a quick look at this before we build it? We can go nano pkg build. Okay, now this is the Arch way of installing packages from the AUR. This is the supported way. I am also going to show you the easy way to install packages too. But I have to stress, it is very important that you understand how these package builds work. This is going to come to your benefit later on down the line. Let's say you decide you want to start building your own Linux distribution and base it off of Arch. You're going to need to know how to make your own packages for it so that you have your own custom software in your builds. And all of those instructions are provided right here in the package build. Okay, you can define the name of the package, what version the package is. So, for instance, if I wanted to change this package version, maybe change this release number from 1 to 2, when I upload that package to my repository, everybody that is connected to my repository is going to get a message from their package manager going, hey, you got an update. All right, so this is a wonderful way to keep your users updated as well. But even if it's just for yourself, it's to your benefit to know how these work. Okay, basically this gives you the architecture that this is going to build, in this case any, so this will work on 32 and 64-bit machines. There is some dependencies that are listed here. So we need to make sure that we have these packages installed. I'll show you that in a moment, okay? There are optional dependencies for this too. So maybe if you want to take screenshots, they're saying optionally you can install Scrot for that, but the software will work without it. That's what opdepends is. Okay, the source gives instructions for where it's going to download the source package from to compile it. And then you have the SHA-256 sum so that it can compare the sums to ensure that that package that you've downloaded hasn't been tampered with. Okay? So that's a nice security feature. And then these are the instructions for installing the package. This is very important too. So you have all of this information here, and all of these little things go into every package that you download from Arch Linux or any other repo. They were all made with a package build. So please do take your time. You can go on the Arch Wiki and read a little bit more on this if there's something you don't understand. I know for a fact that this is going to work. So I'm going to press Control X to exit. All right, and then I'm going to run make package. Okay, and as you can see here, we're missing that dependency that it stated that we needed. All right, so why don't I just right-click and copy this. I love working with a terminal that is on a regular desktop over the TTY, because copying and pasting you can't do as well. Well, you can, but yeah. Okay, so at any rate, let's go ahead and run sudo pacman tac S to sync, and then Control-Shift-V to paste that. Okay, and then we can now run make package. Zip bada boom, compile it for me super quick on the fly. Now we're ready to install this thing. If we go ls, okay, you're going to see that we have the all-C 0.4.8-1ne.package.tar.xz. If you think I'm going to type all of that, you're out of your mind. But I know that this is the only XZ file in this directory, so we can save ourselves some typing by going sudo pacman tac capital U. The U switch means to downgrade, but also if you have a specific package that you want to install, the U switch is also handy for that. So I'm just going to go star.xz because that is the only package in that directory. Okay, and now that that has been installed, now why don't we see what we can do with it. All right, well then we can go all-C --help. Because this file, I can tell you, does not have a man file for this. So using the help command here gives us some extra options. And this is going to display information on the screen much like Archie does, or Screen Fetch, or NeoFetch. So we've got the A switch for Archie, N for screen fetch style, or L for list, and these other functions do other things like changing colors and that sort of thing. So let's try all-C tac A. That one happens to be my favorite. I like this one, but there is all-C tac L. And then let's have a look at the screen fetch one. I don't like that one as much. So all-C tac A is one we'll go with, and I think I'll use that for this particular build here. Okay, all good and dandy. How do we apply this to our terminal so that it always displays? Well, we can just use nano.bashrc. Okay. Oops, let me Control X. I was in the wrong directory. First, why don't we change directory and have nothing after that. Now we are in home, and then we can nano.bashrc. So here we are, and at the very end of bashrc, you can pretty much see I don't have much of anything in here, but as time progresses, I'm going to be adding stuff to this. So for now, let's just go ahead and put a little space down here, and then ALSI TAC A, Control X, and then it's saying save modified buffer, Y for yes, and then enter. And that saves the file, and then we can just type source.bashrc. Okay, and now anytime I open up the terminal, we're going to see that. Here, let me show you. I closed it, and then I'm going to open up a new terminal. Zip, bada, boom. Beautiful. But now I want to do something really cool with my prompt. Why don't we have a little bit of fun with Powerline? And Powerline is an amazing prompt for your shell, which has breadcrumbs. I've seen this on a number of screenshots, and I've always thought this was probably the most amazing looking prompt. But for some reason, I always had difficulty understanding how to theme it just right and that sort of thing. And then I recently discovered powerline-shell instead of just regular powerline-shell. And with it, you can have a really wicked prompt. And so I figured, why not show you guys how to not only install it, but theme it, because this all ties into everything that I wanted to cover in the post-Arch install tutorial. So this will be some pretty cool stuff here. So we have this page here open so that I can refer to this later. So why don't I go ahead and minimize this. Let's go back into our terminal, and then we can proceed here. Now, in order to be able to install this, we need to make sure that we have the proper dependencies installed. And that website says we're going to need a program called pip in order to install this. And so, in order to do that, we need to find out, well, what package has that? Well, something that I discovered recently is that Pacman has the ability to search the files that they have. So not only can you search for packages they have in the repo, you can also search for files. Check this out. So we're going to go sudo pacman tac fyy. Okay, the F is going to be pulling down a file list, and the Y is going to synchronize. The two Y's force that synchronization. So we're going to go do that real quick. And once that has done, then we can use sudo pacman tac fs. Okay, for search. And then the file we want to search for is pip. You can see here that the package we need to install is in the extra repo, and that is python-pip. So let's go ahead and do this. Sudo pacman tac s to sync, and then python tac pip. Okay, and then it's going to go ahead and grab all of the dependencies for that. And now we have that package installed. Now we can install powerline-shell with pip install powerline tac shell. Well, the reason we've got an error there is because I forgot to use elevated privileges. I told you I was going to mess it up at some point today. Now it is installed. Okay, now in order to be able to use the powerline shell, we need to add something to our .bash rc file, okay? So why don't we go ahead and open up B. Ryan's page here, and we'll pull that information up. It's right here. Function to update a PS1 and all the way down to FI. We're going to right click and copy this, minimize this, open our terminal, nano.bash rc. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move the cursor. Let's enter twice and then move the cursor back up. And then I'm going to press Control-Shift-V, and that will paste the information that we need, and then Control-X to save, Y, and then enter. Now that we've edited our bash rc file, when we open up a terminal, you're going to see here that we have a nice, friendly looking prompt now. And what's really cool about this is it's going to display some breadcrumbs for the directories that we're working in. Let me show you. All right, so if we change directory into downloads, okay, you're going to see how it displays all of this beautifully now for us, okay? Pretty neat stuff. This is probably my favorite prompt in Linux ever, okay? But now I'm going to show you how we can take it a step further and we can customize this. Okay, so what we need to do is first let's generate a configuration file that we can work with. So we're going to go powerline-shell --generate config 2 and home/Spatry /powerline.shell.json. Yeah, I know I could have used a squiggly mark, tilde squiggly mark, but oh well, sue me. Next, let's use nano on .powerline-shell.json. Okay, and now you're going to see there are a number of things in here that define what makes up that bar. Okay, you're going to see that we have username, host name. Maybe I want to take out the host name here. Okay, and maybe I want to put something else here. Let's find out what we can put in here. If we go into the powerline shell directory in user, lib, python 3.7, site packages, powerline shell, there is a folder here called segments. If we go in here, okay, you can see there are a number of different options that we have available. Maybe I want to display a battery, or maybe I want, maybe I want other information to be displayed. In this case, I think I want to have the time. So you'll see there is time here. And so what I'll go ahead and do is let's go ahead and change that. Time, quote, and then put a comma afterwards, and then username can go in the next line, and then Control X, Y, and enter. Look what happened. Okay, it immediately changed the prompt right away. Now we can do some other things to theme this if we want to. Okay, so what I can do is this, and I'm going to save a little bit of time. I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to the themes directory here. All right, and I'm going to just copy this entire line, because I know this is starting to run a little bit long. CD and then Control-Shift-V to paste this. Okay, look how neat that is. I mean, it shows you the entire, pretty much all the little breadcrumbs. I really like this kind of prompt. It's really wicked. Okay, and then at this point, what I can do is, maybe I want to, I want to list the themes. Okay, you're going to see that we've got basic, default pie, a grub box, solarized dark, solarized light, or washed. Okay, I'm going to actually make my own theme for this. So, but we need to copy it from an existing one. So why not sudo cp to copy, and then default.py, and then we'll call it Spatry.py. Okay. Okay, now that that has done, we list, we're going to see that we have Spatry.py here. And then from here, I can have fun with this, with nano. Nano, sudo nano Spatry.py. Okay, and then here is where you can have some wicked fun with this. I can go in and change the colors of the prompts and everything. Okay, and if you look in the show notes, I have a link to a 256 color chart that tell you what these numbers are. So by changing these numbers, you can define how your prompt is going to look. And basically it just gives you the sections. You got your username, your host name, and all of these other different little things in here that you can change. So let me go ahead and modify this, and then we'll proceed to the next step. Once I have saved this, once I have everything set up how I want this, I can press Control X, Y, and then Enter. Okay, and we're not seeing anything yet because first what we're going to need to do is go home. Okay, and now we need to run nano against .powerline tech shell.json. Okay, and then what I'm going to need to do here is I need to define some theme information. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell it theme in quote, and then put in a colon there, and then in quotation Spatry. Okay, and let me just double check everything here. I've got time, username, secure shell, get. Okay, it looks like this matches very well with the powerline-shell that I have on my main desktop. So we're good. So Control X, Y, and Enter. Look at that. Now I have a nicely themed prompt here. Let me close this. We'll open up a new terminal. And you know what? That transparency is distracting. So let's go into preferences here and maybe knock that opacity down a little bit more. That's probably better. Okay, close that. All right, so you can see here I've got a beautiful looking prompt that I can work with. Okay, what else can we do to make things a little bit more user-friendly? I know I've probably taken a little bit more time in this tutorial than I probably should have. I know one thing that we're going to probably want to do is to be able to build packages from the AUR a little bit easier. All right, so why don't we go ahead and do that? So let's search for Yay. Okay, and here it is. Download that snapshot. Okay, CD. Okay, and then let's tar. Okay. Okay, and then make package. Okay, it needs git and it needs go. Okay, and then make package. All right, and then list. Okay. Only one XZ file, so sudo pacman tac u with a capital U star.exe. Okay. Install that, and then Yay. Okay, and then I want number 1, and then just press enter, and then I will have it remove the make dependencies after the installation is complete. I love Yay. This is really nice. Okay, and then proceed with the installation. No need in having extra make packages lying around. That's one thing I like about Yay that like Yower doesn't do. So we'll let it build all this stuff, and then it will remove it once it's done. Okay, once the installation has completed, we can do a few things here. First, we need to probably go into our settings here. And actually, why don't we just hit this control panel here. Then I can find it. There's session and startup, application auto start, and then I want to add pamac-aur. Okay, and then we can close this, and then I can just press Alt F2, or I can just run it from here. All right, and you'll see now that we have a nice little indicator icon, and from here we can install additional packages without having to have the command line. But one thing that I find extremely useful about this, and why I suggested installing this, is simply that, you know, you can look at these packages, okay, go into the details on the packages themselves, you can look at the dependencies, and you can look at all of the files that it provides. So let's say you decided to install something from the Arch user repository and you don't know how to launch the thing. Okay, well, you have the option to find where those executable binaries are. And of course, it's also nice to have a little indicator to let you know there is an update available for your system. So that's one reason why I figured I'd throw that in there. Okay, so in today's show, there was a lot I wanted to cover. I wanted to cover, really adding a new layer of customization to the terminal, and I meant to actually lock this down so that it doesn't lose focus. So I wanted to add an extra layer of customization to our prompt, because we're going to be doing a lot more work on command line friendly from this user interface. Also, what I can do here is maybe even beef this up a little bit in the preferences, maybe under appearance, so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Maybe I can increase that font, and so we have a nicer display, and then you guys can read everything that I'm putting into the terminal so that we can work with this. So we've done some shell customization. I covered building packages from the Arch user repository, the Archway, and then we did it the Yay way, and then I could show you how to also do that from the GUI, but that's easy. Anybody can figure that out. Pretty much just going into, let me go ahead and close this for a moment. You can easily go in here and go into preferences. Okay, you can enable Arch user repository support. Personally, I never build anything from the AUR with this utility. I only use this utility if I want to just simply browse the repos that I already have installed. I never install anything from the AUR with this. I don't even run updates with this. I just like having a convenient little graphical file manager so that I can just at my leisure go through and look through packages and that sort of thing. But you can set your preferences here to ignore certain packages if you want to hold a specific file or package from updating. You can define that here. Let's close this. Really where this shines is, you can go into your repositories and you can look at all of the packages that are in a specific repo. Okay, so if you want to see the packages that are just in the community, or maybe you decided to add my mcol64 repo, and you want to look at all the stuff that I built, you would be able to do that if you had that in here, and that's all defined in your pacman-conf, as I've discussed in an earlier episode. So pretty much, I think that's all I wanted to cover today. Yeah, we covered theming, the prompt, and boy, we did cover a lot of ground today. All right, I'm not sure what I'm going to be covering next on Command Line Friendly, but I'm pretty sure that we're going to be using this, doing something in this terminal in our next episode. So until next time, please be sure to take just a little bit of your time and be excellent with somebody today. A little bit of love goes a long way, I'm telling you right now. All right, I'll see you all next time. Until then, peace out.